class. This lesson is on adding and subtracting decimals. For adding decimals, first step, you want to write the numbers under one another with their decimal points lined up in a vertical line. This is so critical because you will not get the correct answer if you do not have the decimal points lined up underneath each other. Number two, you want to add the numbers the same way you add whole numbers. And then finally, place the decimal point in the answer or sum in the vertical line with the decimal points in the add-ins. Okay, so let's do an example. If we have a number, now the first example has 5 different numbers that need to be added. Some have decimal points and some do not. Okay, so let me show you. Our first number is 75. 75.4. My next number is a whole number, 186. So that needs to go in front of this decimal point. 186. I'm going to go ahead and put a decimal point because that just lets me know that a decimal point belongs here, and I have this lined up exactly how it should be. My next number is 0.056. And then I have 1.207. Okay, make sure that my decimals are all lined up. It looks good. My final number is a whole number of 2,350. So I'm going to put my 0. I'm going to add my comma, and I'm going to put a decimal point, just showing that this whole number is in front of the decimal point. And now what you can do, so if it's a little confusing, you've got a lot of blank spaces here, you can go ahead and add zeros if that helps. Okay, so I'm going to add a 0 here, and here, and here to fill in all the places. Okay, now I'm ready to add. So I'm going to start on my far right side. 6 plus 7 is 13. I'm not doing anything different with my adding. 1 plus 5 is 6. 4 plus 2 is 6. Okay, I see my decimal points. I'm going to bring it straight down. 5 plus 6 plus 1 is 12. Carry my 1. I have a 7 and an 8. That makes 15. Easy to add this in my head. Another 5 is 20 plus 1 is 21. And then I have 2 plus 3 makes a 5 plus 1 is 6. And then I'm going to bring down my 2 and then add my comma. Okay, so let's look at the next example. 12.6 plus 3.24. Notice how neatly I'm writing. I am making my decimal points very clear so I can see it well and line up my numbers. I'm going to add a 0 here just to help me know that there's, just to fill in some space. So 0 plus 4 is 4. 6 plus 2 is 8. I'm going to bring my decimal down. 2 plus 3 is 5. And 1 plus 0 is 1. And as always, please box your answer in your homework so that I can clearly see through all of your work. Here is a final example of the problems we just worked out. This is showing the different decimal places of the answer. We have numbers that went all the way to the thousandths, the hundredths place, the tenths place, and then we had our decimal, and then we were into the units, which is the ones place, tens, hundreds, thousands. And this is just another picture to show you, for example, too, in lining up your decimals clearly. Okay, if you need to put a box just to help you, you can do that. Do whatever you need, whatever strategy is going to help you keep your work organized and neat. Subtracting decimals. Now, you want to write the number being subtracted, which is the subtrahend, under the number that it is being subtracted from, the minuend, with their decimal points in the same vertical line, just like adding. If the minuend has fewer decimal places than the subtrahend, attach zeros to the minuend so that both numbers have the same number of decimal places. Then, you will subtract the numbers the same way you subtract whole numbers. Place the decimal point in your answer, also known as the difference, in the vertical line with the other decimal points. So let's work on an example 1. Subtract 6.07 or 6 7/100 from 75 and 14/14. So we have 75.14 minus 6.07. Okay, so I cannot take 7 from 4, so I need to borrow a 10 from this 1. 14 minus 7 is 7. And then we have 0 minus 0 is 0. I'm going to clearly write my decimal mark right here. I cannot subtract 6 from 5, so I'm going to borrow a 10 and turn this into a 6. 15 minus 6 is 9, and then 6 minus 0 is 6. And then I will box my answer. Okay. Example 3, subtract 1 and 654 thousandths from 38 and 6/10. So 38.6 is my minuend. It's going to go on top. Okay, here's where it could be tricky. Don't mistaken this decimal point for a comma. This isn't 1,654, okay? So line up your decimal points. Okay, now, this number, my subtrahend, goes all the way to the thousandths place. I have to add zeros to my minuend in order for me to be able to subtract this number. Okay, so now I'm subtracting 4 from 0, which is not possible. So I need to borrow a 10 from this 6. This becomes a 5. Remember, if I have to go all the way to the right, I have to turn this 0 into a 9, and this gets the full 10. So 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 5 is 4. And here, I cannot subtract 6 from 5. So I need to borrow a 10 from this 7, and this will become 15. So 6 from 15 is 9. 7 minus 1 is 6, and 3. Okay, and then I'm going to box my answer. The key is to not rush through this. You don't want to make any simple mistakes, which can be done quite easily. So that's just my recommendation. Make sure your work is neat, line everything up, and take your time. Here is an example of the problem that we worked previously. Okay, example 6. Subtract 3 24/100 from 12 8/10. Now my minuend is 12 8/10. Okay, don't think of this as 324. Okay, make sure you notice that decimal place. 3.24. Put my subtraction sign in, and I'm going to add a 0. Okay, so we cannot subtract 4 from 0. I need to borrow a 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. 7 minus 2 is 5. I'm going to bring my decimal point down, and then you can just look at this as 12 minus 3, and this is 9. If that's hard for you to look at, you can just borrow the 10, make that a 0, and turn that into a 12. It's the same thing. Okay, and then box my answer. 9 56 hundredths. And here's an example of the problem. Okay, that is the end of this lesson. Good luck on your homework, and let me know if you have any questions.